Ever outdoor game for the Komets will be postponed until tomorrow. Mother Nature stepped in and made the conditions too difficult to play in. Tommy Schegler and Kent Horman were in Toledo all day and have more.
Rachel, thanks a lot. We were supposed to be talking about the first ever outdoor game played in Komets franchise history tonight. Instead, we're talking about a postponement of that due to weather. Tommy Schegler, Kent Horman. A bummed out Kent Horman. I know I am as well.
Well, and we talked about this at 6 o'clock, Tommy. It's like a baseball situation, rain delay, and we have a rain out. You don't expect it in hockey, especially in early January, that rain would be the big factor, but a lot of people are going home very disappointed, especially the 1,000-plus Komet fans who made their way here from Fort Wayne. Some will drive back home, some will maybe try to spend the night and come back tomorrow, but for those who have young kids who brought them here, school starts on Monday, so a 5 o'clock Sunday game maybe not an option. So I think everybody a little bit upset, but first and foremost, player safety was the major concern.
Yeah, the game will be played now at 5 o'clock tomorrow, but you mentioned the player safety. The visibility was an issue, as well as the ice being a little gummy in spots.
Yeah, you have to first and foremost think about the situation with the skates and the ice. And in very, very soft ice, for as sharp as a professional hockey player's skates are, you try to make a cut, you catch in a rut, you could have a season-ending, possibly a career-threatening knee injury, something like that. And then the fact that it's a mandatory rule, you have to wear visors in this league. It's like basically driving a car in a rainstorm with no windshield wipers. And then you have to bring in the goaltenders factor and their visibility. So unfortunately, the imperfect storm as far as playing hockey outdoors.
When we talked to Gary Graham, head coach from the Komets, and the players after the decision was made, here's a little bit of what they had to say.
It's too bad, we were excited, and obviously the fans are getting riled up, especially for the weather too, so kind of disappointed, but at least it'll be a good game tomorrow.
The league came in and obviously they felt it wasn't safe. Safety's first for both teams and both organizations, and that played a lot into the decision made tonight.
So that's what the players and coaches had to say. We also caught up with the ECHL commissioner up in the press box too.
Yeah, and the commissioner said, Tommy, you could tell by the look on his face, it was a tough call, and they waited until the last possible moment. They didn't want to disappoint these fans and the players themselves who were looking forward to playing outdoors. So he said they waited, and it was a tough call, but a call that had to be made.
I think after the warm-up, we took a look at the forecast. We talked to both players on both teams. There were concerns with regard to visibility, with regard to the playing conditions on the ice and the quality of product and game we'd be able to put on. Putting that all together, we came to what we thought was the best decision in terms of postponing the game, in terms of player safety, in terms of fan comfort, and in terms of a game that means this much, hopefully being able to play it tomorrow under better conditions for all concerned.
That about does it from a very rainy Fifth Third field here in downtown Toledo. We're going to do it all over again tomorrow, everybody. The new start time for the game is 5 o'clock. You can catch it on my TV Fort Wayne. We're going to go on the air a little bit before 5 o'clock. We'll have all the action live for you exclusively, brought to you by Parkview Sports Medicine. For now, though, Tommy Schegler and Kent Horman sending it back to Rachel Martin in the studio from Toledo.
He's going to be the referee. Jim Scarpace and Eric Kipp will be the linesmen.
Here come the Komets out of the first base side dugout and making their way to the ice. Roman will get the start. Had the toque on during warm-ups, but no toque right now for Mr. Will. We thought he was going with that for the game.
And I'll tell you what, for those who may have not picked up on it, obviously Pat Nagel was called up, and it's a well-deserved promotion. He got a professional tryout opportunity with Rochester. He played last night and didn't get much offensive support from his Merck's teammates because they lost to Adirondack 4-0, but Nags faced 42 shots, stopped 39 of them. There was an empty netter. So at least with him not being able to be part of the Winter Classic, at least he got to play in the American League. But Larkin Salfrank, the Fort Wayne native, is the backup for Roman Will. Well, just over a week ago, he was here as the backup for Kalamazoo. In fact, he's going to have an ECHL collection of jerseys because he's backed up in Kalamazoo. He was Quad City's backup Monday when the Mallards were at the Coliseum, and now here he's back at Fifth Third Field as the backup for the Komets.
So we are moments away from the national anthem here at Fifth Third Field. We are going to stick with that as we lead up to the puck dropping. They're going through the starting lineups right now out on the ice. I would venture to say, Kent, that the snow is coming down harder right now than it has come down at any point, and while it was very, very frustrating to have to pack up and not do this thing last night. It is a pretty darn cool setting right now.
I think right now, again,
party, there's no doubt, with the national anthem. So there it is, national anthem here from downtown Toledo. We are moments away from dropping the biscuit for the first Komet players.
I'm just guessing that the heart's beating just a little quicker. There's a look at Neil Conway's numbers again. 1.93, he's 4-0, 1-0. So Lurg has kind of been carrying the freight for them, and he's been up and down between the ECHL and the AHL. But Neil Conway is a very good netminder.
Definitely want to remind everybody, Parkview Sports Medicine, our fantastic title sponsor of all the broadcasts here on MyTV Fort Wayne. PSM, a collaboration among Parkview Athletic Rehab, Parkview Physicians Group, Sport One Orthopedics, and AWP Sports Training. Parkview Sports Medicine provides sports enthusiasts fitness training, advanced rehabilitation services, nutrition consultations at all levels. So to learn more, just call 260-266-4007. And we are moments away. One thing going to be interesting right off the hop here, Keho, is to watch the opening moments of play, not only for how the snow and all of that is taking its effect, but Toledo so far in the meetings this year has jumped on the Komets early and often. The K's have got to kind of stem that tide, not only of the Walleye's first push, but also of the emotion of the building, the conditions, and how they'll affect the players. The first several minutes will be telling.
Well, there's Derek Lalonde, the head coach of the Walleye. He's got the big toque working there, and we are just about set for hockey. But not only is that important, Tommy, but the Komets have to make sure they stay out of the penalty box in the early stages, because not only have the Walleye jumped all over them, but if the Komets have found themselves in the box, that's been problematic. And see, this is our first issue. Reason why, if people are saying, okay, why haven't they dropped the puck yet, there's a shovel crew that is getting a whole slew of snow off the ice right now, and they're going to step off, and Andy Thackerberry is about set to drop the biscuit.
Eric Faille along with Troy Schwab going to face off in the center circle here and get ready to start this thing up. Couple of quick swipes by the guys to clear everything, and it's coming down hard right now, but we are playing hockey. First draw of the game won by the Walleye as they retreat behind the cage and start the setup. Lample will feed it up the boards, and these first couple minutes are going to be very interesting to see how the puck is moving. It's quickly turned over. A shot sent in, deflected, never got through. Doesn't seem to be sliding across the ice all that easy right now, Keho.
Well, they say they may have to put a little more meat on the passes so it doesn't get caught up a little bit with the slow sledding of the snow, but again, these guys are professional hockey players. They'll figure it out.
Oh, yeah, there'll definitely be adjustment as Barnes shovels it along, and the K's take it back over in neutral, retreat back to their own zone, and now try to get through the forecheck for the Walleye. Interesting to see. This could end up being a little bit of an ugly game from a standpoint of trying to grind it out. Turnover in the neutral zone, coming the other way. Shot on Will, sent into the corner off the pads. That was off of Sims' stick, sent in. And here come the K's back the other way. They dump it in, and we'll get a change. Heading back in the other direction. High kind of lob pass out to center. Playing that there is James Martin. Christian Willett will send it down in deep. This will definitely be kind of a grinded out game, especially if the conditions continue to be like this. Get it to the net as often as possible, kind of grind it out and get some ugly goals.
Well, I think, Tommy, if anything, was an indicator that Kalamazoo game here, in ideal conditions, was a 2-1 game. So it's completely different conditions.
Here's Luciani up the right side, sends one in, goes through the crease into the far side corner. K's are able to clear and come back the other way. Perlini sends it in. That goes into the corner. Niedema is able to get it out, and here come the Walleye in the other direction. Taken off the play and into the corner was Mercier, and now the K's are after it here in the near side corner. C.J. Severin, guy that I know needs to get going a little bit right now.
You know, this is kind of like some prize fighters in the early rounds, just feeling each other out a little bit.
First couple minutes here from Toledo. No real good scoring threats on either side as the guys try to figure out exactly how things are working in the outdoor game. We are live from Fifth Third Field. Tommy Schegler and Kent Horman has taken off the play as he crossed into the zone was Hirschfeld, and now the K's come back the other way. Here's Toledo with it. Lample, the outlet, and they bring it into neutral.
This is their top line, their danger line.
And they try to center, taken away, and a nice little poke check to get that one cleared out of the danger zone in the slot area by Eric Faille. He's taken off the play as he came across the blue line, and back the other way is Leone. Now to the slot. Shot is sent in and steered into the corner. That shot coming from Tyler Barnes. Barnes is a dangerous player that we'll talk about some as the broadcast goes on.
Top scoring rookie in the ECHL, 13 goals, 23 assists, 36 points, and oh, by the way, he's plus 21.
Here's A.J. Jenks, recently added to the roster. He sends one over the crossbar. Back come the K's the other way. Christian Walleye between two defenders. Frazee sends it down in deep. And now it comes to the corner where the Walleyes, Luciani will come away with it. He sends it to center. Jenks tries to split two defenders. He loses the puck on the way. K's are able to clear back to neutral. Coming away with it is Will Lacasse. Matt Bastilli is out there right now for the Komets, along with Perlini and Walleye. That's a line that I could see starting to generate some real offense when they start to click a little bit. Here's Hirschfeld. Hirschfeld up the right side, holds on to it, sends it in on Will, and the net comes off its moorings. We get a whistle. And you see the Walleye right there, their coach, Derek Lalonde, and the difference between a couple years and you know what this team looks like this year compared to last year's team is awfully different for the Walleye.
Well, Toledo last year was victimized by so many injuries, starting with their parent club, the Detroit Red Wings. So then they were pulling people up from Grand Rapids. Then Grand Rapids would pull people up from Toledo. So with Toledo, it was a real turnstile situation, not unlike what happened to the Komets a couple of years back when they had that Anaheim Norfolk type of affiliation where you just couldn't seem to establish the consistency of a lot of guys playing together. But Toledo is an outfit this year to be dealt with.
C.J. Severin called for an offsides there. We get a face-off. The Walleye win that one once again. That's another area of the game that the Komets have been dealing with a little bit, trying to get better in that face-off area. Now a turnover in their zone and a glove save by Roman Will. No problem. Saw that one nicely. What are your impressions early on here, Kent, of what we're seeing from the play? There's no doubt, as you said, that there's definitely a feeling out kind of thing going on right now.
Well, looking at the tight shot of the Toledo bench, it doesn't appear as if this snow, and it's coming down now, and it's whipping around, is having much of an impact on the visors. I think for both sides right now, it's a bit of a cautious game. I don't think anybody wants to make the miscue or the turnover that results in a goal. And unless something drastically changes, we've only played about 5 minutes, but I look for this to be a close checking and possibly very low-scoring tilt.
Barnes trying to get around a defender, unable to do so. Komets are able to clear it back out to center. And the Walleye quickly send it back in deep. Roman will come behind the cage and play it momentarily. The K's look to break out. Here's Mike Embach looking to track it down as it heads into the Walleye zone. He's beat by a defender there. Barnes shovels it along, back out to center, and we go back and forth.
And again, it's a matchup of the top lines, Embach, Faille, Sidlowski, facing off against Barnes, Schwab, and Birschbach.
Jenks, little backhander, goes off the side of the cage, maintains possession, goes to the far corner. Now they get it up to the point, quickly back in front, and Roman Will never saw that one. Luckily, it deflected left of the cage, and the K's come back the other way. Momentary 2-on-1 developing. Zidlowski fires one in that gets deflected down, and we get a whistle.
Tommy, one of the things I'm noticing, especially in the Komet end, and it happened during that last sequence, whereas Roman Will was down and trying to protect the cage, it slid off the moorings again.
We got a timeout on the ice. We'll take it with them. You're watching My Komets on My TV. Back here at Fifth Third Field, Tommy Schegler, Ken Horman joining you. Komets' first ever outdoor game. We are honored to be a part of this historic moment in Komet history. We have no score, little over 6 minutes into the game. And we were just noticing as the Komets send one in, Conway will cover up and we'll get another face-off. But definitely a lot of snow collecting on the ice.
Well, during these timeouts, you have about 6-8 people getting on the ice with big-time shovels to try to clear the area. Again, it accumulates in the corners and right around the goals. But so far, and again, you know, we've only played 6 minutes and change, Tommy. I think the Komets are now getting the feel for the ice. Obviously, the Walleye has had a game here and some practices. And these are two very, very evenly matched teams, so this is hockey at its best.
Face-off won by the Walleye back into the corner, tracking it down there. The Komets fire, shot sent in, it was blocked in front, never got through. Kevin Clare knocking it down for the Walleye. K's, though, still fighting for it behind the net. And the Walleye are unable to clear. Sent one in was Pastilli. That one goes wide. Frazee upended in front of the net. No call coming, though.
Well, I think Frazee, and he's delivering a parting shot to Thackaberry. I think he felt he was both interfered with and tripped.
Here is Luciani coming through center with speed. One-timer sent in quickly as tracking it down was Mercier. And here's Luciani. That one squirts out to the middle. The Komets come away with it. C.J. Severin trying to get around Lample. He's cut off on the boards. Gets some help from Mears momentarily. Cody Soul keeps it in. Lample sends it out in front of his net, and the Walleye are able to get through the forecheck, trying to glove it down, but a little too high and out of play. Justin Mercier didn't quite have the hops to pull that one in.
Well, and Garrett Mears is heading for the Komet bench. Well, now he's just going to take a little bit of a circle. I think he felt as he was going to lay a hit on Lupel, that Lupel maybe brought the elbow up and got him in the chops. So far, Andy Thackaberry has not blown his whistle for anything yet but just the face-offs.
Face-off coming back out just outside of the Walleye zone. Eric Faille fights through to win that one, brings it into the zone. Quickly cleared. Barnes was stalking down one of the defensemen for the Komets, but they're able to dump it down in as Embach gives chase behind the cage, and here come the Walleye in the other direction. Barnes has it hop over his stick, and here come the K's back the other way. Sean Zidlowski trying to fight through those piles of snow. The guys are having trouble keeping the puck with them as they start to gain some speed. There's no doubt you're starting to see it.
One of the things I'm noticing, Tommy, as this snow accumulates, a little tougher to see the blue lines. So the players will really have to be disciplined as far as staying on side, but the snow is really starting to cover up the blue lines.
Yeah, there's no doubt. This is a very interesting scene, and you can see a shot of the Zambonis there as they are waiting, and might have a chance or might have a situation where they go to clear the ice in the middle of the period.
Wouldn't
Do you think
that be
they would do
interesting?
that?
Well, they look like they're on point, like they're on pit row in Indianapolis.
They do. And we'll have to keep our eye on that one. And Luciani right in front. Backhander goes up over the cage. Still loose as it's caught up on the netting behind, and we get a whistle. Good scoring opportunity that time by Anthony Luciani. Backhander. Roman Will is able to get there and deflect it. We'll get a better look on this. Actually, that deflected off of the blade of the stick of James Martin before it ever even made it to Roman Will. So nice play by the defenseman there for the Komets.
Anthony Luciani is a sniper, 15 goals.
Centering feed, no one home, and Pastilli is able to run it down and clear it, but that is going to be an icing. So we'll come back down and do it all over again. Want to remind everybody, hope that you're at the Tilted Kilt right now enjoying this game. It is the official watch zone for the Komets games here on MyTV Fort Wayne out at Jefferson Point. Tilted Kilt, stop by for Comet Road Game broadcast. Chance to win a pair of tickets to a future Komets home game. Receive 15% discounts. For game days, it's all at the Tilted Kilt at Jefferson Point, the official watch zone for all broadcasts of My Komets on MyTV. Tommy Schegler and Ken Horman here with you on MyTV, and we have just been having so much fun being able to bring this game to you and all the games that we bring to you here on MyTV. But this especially is one of those ones that people have been talking about ever since the games were announced a little over a year ago. It's just one of those ones that everybody wanted to make sure that they were here for.
Certainly one of those circle your calendar dates, Tommy, and I mean, you know, we talk about for many of the guys on the ice, once in a lifetime opportunity. I think it clearly is for you and myself as well. We may never get the chance. I've never had a chance to see a Winter Classic, as that's on my bucket list, but this is indeed a thrill. I think I'm as delighted to be here as the guys on the ice.
Walleye win the draw cleanly and go quickly through neutral, but losing a handle on it as they went into the Komets zone. Now trying to track it down. Quickly sent in a shot was Alden Hirschfeld. That one went wide right, and now they battle for it here on the near side boards. Komets, C.J. Severin is able to clear, cross ice, and tracking it down there is Garrett Muirs. Muirs fights with it, gets it down into the corner, hit put on behind the net by the Komets, unable to clear the Walleye. Cody Souls setting up, fires one in, that one squirts out to the corner.
Komets have a great forecheck working right now.
Here's Severin. He whips around and deals. Now a shot sent in by Soul that never made it through the crowd. He is able to wrist it back in, and taking the glove and snatching it out of the air is Conway.
Well, the forecheck is the forte of the Komets, and that was a great sequence there of pinning Toledo in its own end and getting some shots. And I think that's one of the things, too, especially with this snow cooking, Tommy. Just throw the puck on net. Try to get the biscuit at the basket, and you never know what might happen.
Well, I can tell you, Kent, that there is a media timeout scheduled for the first whistle after the 10-minute mark, as long as both teams are at even strength. And those two Zambonis that we were keeping our eye on,
they're sneaking up.
They have crept out. So I have a sneaking suspicion when we get to that media timeout that we are going to have a sweeping of the ice with the Zambonis with this kind of relentless snow that is coming down right now here at Fifth Third Field. So bouncing puck goes into the corner. Backhanded and trying to clear, is not able to do so are the K's. Gabriel Beaupré was trying to get it out of there. Now he uses his skate to deflect that one into the corner, and coming away with it is Eric Faille. They chip it out to center and now get it deep. Faille couldn't quite get his stick on it. He tries to center right there, taken off the play by a couple of different Walleye, and they joust for it here in the near side corner. Here's Embach. Embach walking in, lost the handle, and Conway is able to cover up. All right, we do have that timeout. We are going to step away. We will see as the Zambonis do start to make their way out on the ice. Probably going to be a little bit longer of a break than usual. We have no score here in Toledo. You're watching My Komets on MyTV.
In the middle of a ball, right behind home plate for the Mud Hens games, we really have a catbird seat. Now,
and then there'll be another band of snow that's going to come in a little while. So be interesting to see. I know talking to some of the local media here before we started the game, they had been talking to some of their meteorologists. They thought that through the first period we would be getting some pretty heavy snow. So that is living up to the forecast at this point. So we're dealing with it, and it's frankly a lot of fun, even though I know that it probably is tough on the players, as you mentioned, Kent, to have the opportunity to do something like this. I doubt it is bothering them one little bit.
No, I think they're absolutely loving it. And right now the line that's out there is the Willette-Frazee line. And you've kind of rotated Pastilli and Severin on one of the wings, but this is a line that really has started to pick it up. Of course, Frazee, the reigning ECHL Player of the Week, the fifth Komet to have that award in 11 weeks of hockey so far. And Christian Willette, for all of me, is one of the best forecheckers on the team. He creates a lot of his own scoring opportunities just with his relentless play in their end.
Frazee beats A.J. Jenks on the draw, but Komets are unable to hold it in. And they were not able to get the touch on the long pass, so it's going to be an icing come down the other way. A.J. Jenks just originally added, or recently, I should say, added to the roster, and I know he's a player that you like quite a bit.
I really did, because he's been in the ECHL before and was just released from his contract from Charlotte. Now, the way he made his way to Toledo is Toledo had signed him in the offseason, but he was able to make an AHL team, was just recently cut loose by Charlotte, so this is his second game in a Walleye uniform.
All right, we are back at it down on the ice, giving chase to it. Will Lacasse. He's unable to win that battle, but the centering feed is taken away by the Komets, and they break out, dump it in down deep, and Conway, that was on net. He was able to glove that one, and there we have a stoppage of play. That was the sixth shot on goal for the Komets. Pretty even right now, 6-5, although I would say that the only true quality scoring chance was that of Luciani in the slot when Martin was able to get that nice little deflection to save things. Komets win a draw, but now fight for it on the half wall. Whipping around and sending one in that never quite made it through. Mears sends it up to the point. Bouncing puck, and that one is lobbed into the corner. Severin tries to center, and it goes off the side of the cage. One-timer sent in from the point, and it steered into the near side corner. Here come the Walleye. This is Mercier. Komets are able to intercept the pass and come back the other way. Severin sends one in, and that one is directed into the corner off of the stick of Conway. Neil Conway up into the netting, so we will get another face-off here.
Well, there's Garrett Mears going back to the Komet bench. Looks like he's having a ball. He has really been a pleasant addition to the team. He's been on that Lake Erie to Fort Wayne ferry back and forth, and Ian Bartow was activated for this game, and Bushbacher was deactivated. Recently acquired Phil Bushbacher, who started the year in Cincinnati.
Oh, that was a quick draw that Mike Embach had teed up for a moment, and I couldn't tell if it just jumped over his stick, but he was not able to get the shot off. Now fights for it and gains possession in the corner. Centers it to Zidlowski.
There's going to be a penalty, a tripping penalty.
Nope, tripping penalty. So we have our first penalty of the game, and this will be interesting to see because we mentioned special teams. Luckily for the Komets, it is going to be on the Walleye. Headed to the box is Richard Niedema, defenseman, 6'4", 225. One of the rare penalties that you will see the Walleye commit. They are the least penalized team in the league. James Martin sending one in, and Conway squeezes, and we get a whistle.
A look at Niedemel sitting in the sin bin, and tell you what, James Martin lately has been very, very proficient. There you see the special teams we talked about, where Toledo's penalty kill is number 1, Komets power play is number 9. But James Martin, basically the quarterback from the point on the power play, lately has been doing a great job of getting set up at the point and getting a quality shot from the blue line on goal, and he's been scoring some goals.
Well, now the Komets will try to work through the forecheck and set up shop. Unable to do so that time as it's shoveled back down into the Komets' end. Hirschfeld chasing down Martin in the corner. Taking 3 Komets to get it away from Hirschfeld, and they finally are able to do so. And they come out with it. This is Willette, retreats back behind the cage. Loses his edge. And Zidlowski with it now. 1:15 on the penalty to Niedemel. Centering feed goes to the corner to Willette. Now across to the point. Stepping in and firing a shot that's saved by Conway. Another shot sent in. Pad save off to the corner. That one sent in by Mike Embach. K's keep it in. That shot never made it through. Komets still with possession of it here behind the net. Now working out to the corner. Back down into the corner as they fight for it. Christian Willette poking at it, trying to dig it out of there. Precious time going off of this penalty. Just 35 seconds left in the 2-minute minor for tripping to Richard Niedemel. And keeping it in is Beaupré. Desperate play to get it over to Zidlowski. Zidlowski takes a look, now retreats back up to the blue line. Sends it half wall. Shot sent in, blocker save by Conway. And it is cleared. Only 5 seconds left, so this will be the last rush by the Komets on the power play. And the Walleye are able to clear it off and kill it off in totality.
Good pressure by the Komets, though, Tommy, and they got some shots on goal. That's all you can ask.
And we get a whistle for icing, so we'll get a face-off down here on the other end. Agreed, they did have some good looks there.
Yeah, Conway had to be Johnny on the spot, and you talked about that one, a good blocker save, and the Komets did a great job. It was Shane Sims at one point. There's that blocker save we were talking about, but Sims was doing a good job of pinning the puck in the corner, trying to take time off the clock. But Toledo never could get a decent clear, and the Komets got themselves a couple, 3 decent shots.
All right, this is Tyler Barnes sending it mid-ice. That one poked away nicely by the Komets. They come back into the zone with some speed. Sent in and squeezed by Conway. Nice little shot there by the Komets trying to pick up the number. Thought that was Mears. Did you see it, Cahill?
Well, all of a sudden, the Komets have outshot them 11-5, and I do believe that was Mears streaking in on the right wing.
All right, got another timeout on the ice. Last media timeout of the first period. You're watching My Komets on my TV.
Case up.
Live action continuing here at Fifth Third Field. Tommy Schegler, Kent Horman with you here on a Sunday evening, first ever outdoor game for the Komets. Closing moments of the first period. We are reaching the 5-minute mark left in the first period. And as Kent mentioned, we really have kind of picked it up in the shots on goal category, which was once tied at 5, is now 12-5 in favor of the Komets.
I think with the more this game progresses, Tommy, the more confidence with which the Komets are playing.
Pistilli sends one. I think we got a whistle for offsides.
Yep. But the Komets are getting shots on goal, and I think that is key. Put the pressure in the Toledo end and make sure that Mr. Conway is seeing a lot of rubber.
Want to remind everybody, Parkview Sports Medicine is our proud sponsor of Komet Hockey here on MyTV Fort Wayne. The game isn't the same when you are out of it. Call Parkview Sports Medicine at 260-266-4007 when injury strikes. Make their team of expert physicians your dream team. Gabriel Beaupré tried to swipe that one down and keep it in the zone, unable to do so. Comes back to Roman Will. And whipping it around the boards. Nice hit put on behind the play by the Walleye. That's going to be an icing. Coming in there pretty strong was Hirschfeld and laying the wood.
And I think the Komets were taking exception to that because clearly the puck had already been played, and then boom, Hirschfeld steps right into his man. No, last man to touch the puck, so it's what you call finishing your check, but I'm sure the Komets were not tickled with that.
Right off the face-off, quick shot sent in, didn't make it through to Will, and the Walleye continue to have it in the zone. Berschbach behind the net. And coming away with it are the Komets. They've done a very good job of puck possession, especially in the last 10 minutes or so, not allowing the Walleye really any significant time in the K zone. And this is Eric Faille battling for it on the near side half wall.
Well, it's been an interesting joust between these two number 1 lines here in the first period.
Slipping a defender is Faille. Zidlowski came away with it. He was a little upset about that check that he received on the boards as well. That shot went wide off a deflection, I believe. And you could tell Conway, just from his reaction, had no idea where that puck was for a moment. Running it down in the corner, Bartow. This is Ian Bartow, the long outlet to center to C.J. Severin. And that is going to be an icing again, as Sevy was not over the red line.
And the K's had a chance for a long breakout because the Walleye were going for a line change. Severin just got a stick on the puck and poked it toward the Toledo end, but had not crossed center ice. There's a look at Joel Chouinard, who's one of the better defensemen on the Walleye roster. Chouinard is paired up with Cody Lample. Been very impressed with the way the Komets have really, I think, taken the play after the first 3-4 minutes to the Walleye, largely pinning them in their end, and Toledo has not been able to set up a lot of shop in the Komet side.
Cody Soul gloves it, tries to clear, unable to do so. In the slot area and coming through are the Walleye, drifting into the corner, and then a bad angle shot goes high and out of play off a deflection.
Here's Anthony Luciani. Boy, I'll tell you what, he's lit the Komets up a couple of times. He's one of those guys who can score goals like hiccups. You know, you might think you have him pretty well suppressed on a shift. Next thing you know, bang, bang. He pops a couple in the course of a minute or so. Very good shot.
15 goals, 19 assists, 34 points overall. Those are the kind of numbers that you want, no doubt about that. That shot deflected down, never made it through. That time it goes high. It may have deflected off the glove of Will. Here's Lample sending one in. Another deflection and reaching out and snagging it is Roman Will. That one definitely changed directions.
Well, that time Cody Lample thought he had himself a goal because it got into traffic and looked like it caromed off Roman Will. Look at Lample, his reaction. He thought that was going in. That's what you call a circus catch if you were in baseball. So Roman Will's played very, very well here. Are here in the first, 12-7.
I think that's a rule in the ECHL about the non-two. Quick shot sent in and a pad save. That was Tyler Barnes getting one in on Will.
What, that he couldn't wear the stocking cap?
Yeah, you think that's a rule or you think that's a decision? Because he wore it in the warm-ups.
Yeah, I think if he wanted to, he could wear it.
Interesting. All right, chasing it down here in the corner of the Komets. I believe that's Drew Daniels. And here's Faille spinning off a defender. Tries to work through a check, playing it off the boards.
Score!
And that one goes in!
Beaupré.
Beaupré from the point, and Neil Conway never saw it. And it finds the back of the net.
And that's what we were talking about, Tommy, the importance when you get the puck at the point, throw the shot on goal. And again, Gabriel Beaupré has really stepped his game up lately. Tell you what, for him, that is his third goal of the season. Boom. And the Komets did a good job of cutting across, setting up a maze. Conway never saw it. 17:47 the time of the goal.
So the Komets strike first up 1-0. Gabriel Beaupré. And that was, as you said, just so quick, snapped it in there. And you could tell, Conway was still in his crouch looking for it when it was already bouncing off of the back of the nylon. Scooping that one up as Will get another whistle, but they kind of talked about that down in the room when I was down there before the game. This outdoor game especially, you got to go back to the nuts and bolts, the basics, to get the traffic in front and really kind of send them on net as often as possible.
Now the Komet fans in attendance came up with their traditional he shoots, he scores. I believe Faille picked up an assist on that play, so the Komets, just over 2 minutes to go in the first, on the board.
Very big goal there by the K's. Cody Soul winds and fires. That one's still loose in front. And here come the Walleye. Luciani outletting and running it down is Bonus. Will comes out of his net and pokes it away into the corner. That was a good play by Roman Will. All right, here come the Walleye. Chouinard to Hirschfeld. Hirschfeld winds and fires. That one's steered to the half wall on the save by Will. And you can see just a little extra oomph in the step of the Walleye right now, trying to respond in this last minute of the period as the Komets have taken a 1-0 lead. Mercier trying to make a play. K's are able to take him off the play and coming the other way with it. Thomas Frazee sends it in. That one jumps over the stick of Conway, and now they fight for it. Conway lost the edge in the crease. No harm, no foul, as it was still caught up behind the cage. All right, here's James Martin sending it far side corner, and that one is picked off, stolen away, walking in and sending one in, and never got a shot off was Berschbach.
Boy, I was about to say, so important not to commit a turnover or make a poor play in the final 30 seconds to a minute, and that's exactly what happened.
And squeezing and making a save. Love to see an instant replay, and I'm sure we'll get one as Lacoste gets a couple of extra hits in on Schwab at the end of that play. But well, I don't believe Berschbach ever got an actual shot off.
I think going back to what this little scrum is when Schwab came in, I think he gave Roman Will a bit of a snow job. And that's what you have to do as a defenseman. You have to stand up for your goaltender and not let them take liberties, and especially with enough snow on the ice. It looked like Schwab roared in. There's that other play. He just didn't quite get the handle on it. It looked like maybe off the heel of the stick, and then Will was able to lay down and then freeze off the post. Shane Berschbach is an extremely dangerous player, and again, that line of Barnes, Schwab, and Berschbach have been the top line for the Walleye this season. Roman Wills had an outstanding first period.
Yeah, that was a good. Did you get the impression that he got the shot off?
I don't think he got much quality stick on it.
I don't. It was a hard angle to see as it was going away from us, and that replay I didn't necessarily see conclusive evidence one way or the other, but nonetheless it was a great play by either side or by whether it was the defenseman or whether it was our goalie. To be able, and we'll take a closer look at it here, hopefully be able to see.
Oh,
and he does. He loses the handle on it.
It went off his skate, and then alertly a Comet defenseman, Martin, able to kind of poke it away, but Roman Will did a great job of holding his ground. And that was interesting because Derek Lalonde was really bending the ear of referee Andy Thackerberry. Now he's talking to Jim Scarpace and Eric Kipp, the linesman, so Comets just want to get off this last 16 seconds and get in the room with the 1-0 lead.
Well, the initial gut reaction to that play ended up being right, as not a shot on goal there, and a prime chance for the Walleye towards the end of this first period, and the Comets are able to dodge that bullet and go into the first intermission with a 1-0 lead here from Fifth Third Field in Toledo. We are going to take a break. When we come back, Comets General Manager David Franke is going to join us. We are going to take that break. 1-0 Comets after the first period. You're watching My Comets on My TV. Broadcast here on My TV. Take our last break of the first intermission. Comets lead it 1-0. We'll have the second period when we come back. Last couple moments of the first intermission here at Fifth Third Field. Getting ready to start the second period between the Comets and the Toledo Walleye. Tommy Schegler and Ken Horman with you. Comets striking first in this one. Gabriel Beaupré nets the goal in the first period, beating Neil Conway. And we have no snow, but we do have some significant wind, I believe, just based on the fact that the snow that is collected in center and right field is being whipped up quite a bit. And I'm seeing quite a bit of blowing snow off the ice surface. That just tells me, and then looking at the flags in right field, they're whipping around pretty good, so we'll have to keep an eye on the wind situation. But we are underway here in the second period.
Well, and the Comets, again, nursing the 1-0 lead as Toledo puts the early pressure on. Both teams starting their original starters. Their number one lines are out there. Barnes, Schwab, and Berschbach for Toledo. Mbach, Faille, and Sidlowski for the Comets. Puck sent in behind the goal. Roman Will, it goes over his stick, but Toledo can't play. Now briefly circling along the wall, feeding it back that time was Troy Schwab. Comets did a great job containing this top line. Tyler Barnes spins away, feeds it back to the point. Lample, a shot that just slides by, and the Comets break out the other way. Mbach is stood into that time with authority by Chouinard. Kays try to keep it deep. Sidlowski into the corner. Now Toledo looks to clear. Beaupré has to glide back for the puck. Beaupré accounted for the only goal of the game so far as he circles behind his net. Now he breaks out. Flips it high into the air and controlled by the Comets. A quick shot right on. Steered aside. Comets with the rebound. And again, Conway is able to kick it away. 2 quality chances for the Komets, and here come the Walleye back the other way. Breaking in, trying to slip the check that time was Kyle Bonus. That shot is steered aside by Roman Will very neatly, and Willette looks to break out for the Komets. Backhander a little too strong for Frazee. Collected that time by Joe Hauk, and the Walleye again look to attack. That time the shot goes off the pad of the Komet defenseman, but picked up at the point that time by Joe Hauk, and Roman Will had to be ready for that one. So obviously the early couple minutes, a wraparound attempt that time, is a little bit off the mark. So Toledo is applying some pressure here early in period 2. We have played just under 2 minutes.
And net came off its moorings there, so that is the whistle. But you're right, Kent, the Walleye, as we anticipated, definitely coming out, trying to put some pressure on. The wraparound attempt by the Walleye, and Roman Will quickly got over to that far post and cut things off.
Yeah, Shane Sims did a great job of pinching in. Now, Will's had a strong game so far, and you know you always have to be strong in net against the Walleye. Battle for first place. There's a shot, just steered aside again that time as it was right on by Niedermal. So Toledo realizing the ice was tilted the wrong way in the first. Another big save by Roman Will. That time Saul flips the puck into the corner. Kay's looking just to get it out of their zone right now. Here's a spin shot that time as Mercier tries to put it right on. Another big save that time by Roman Will. So right now it's the Walleye putting on tons of pressure. Fed back to the point. That shot by Kevin Clare was just off the mark, but it's all right now. It's looking like a Toledo power play. That's right into the chest of Roman Will. He blocks it by standing his ground. Saul tries to flip it high, and he does to neutral ice. And now the K's look to break in with numbers. A quick shot and a save that time by Conway as Sidlowski was trying to beat him short side. Right in front, looks like it caromed off of C.J. Severin. And now the K's dialing up the pressure in the Toledo end. Circling around is Kevin Clare. And ahead to Richard Niedermal. It comes back to neutral ice. Now here's Drew Daniel breaking in. Off the wing as he carries in. Tried to ride him off the play. That time was Clare. Now he's bumped off the play by Niedermal. Komets behind the net. Now they're looking to assume more control of play in the Toledo zone. We've played 3.5 minutes, 1-0 Komets. There's going to be a penalty on Toledo, and it looks like it's going to be on Niedermal once again.
Yeah, I believe Slash, and that'll be the second penalty for Toledo. And a great opportunity for the Komets as they were really having some problems there in the first couple minutes. Kind of came out a little flat-footed, in my opinion, in the second period. Weren't moving their feet very much at all.
Well, the only penalties, 2, have gone to that man, Richard Niedermal. This one comes at the 3:28 mark of period 2. I believe they gave him a boarding call. And the Komets go on the power play once again.
You're right, it is boarding on the penalty. And so the K's set up on that power play.
And they've got Pistilli manning one of the points. And here is a breakout attempt as Toledo, a very proficient shorthanded team, racing in that time was Kyle Bonus. And the puck comes loose in front. And now there's going to be a trip called on the Komets, and this will be a makeup call. They're going to call a trip on the Komets as one of the K's went down, and as he was laying on the ice, Pistilli was just laying there trying to play the puck, and a Toledo player skated in, tripped over him, and they're going to call Pistilli for a trip.
And it was an unfortunate turn of events for the Komets right all the way from the beginning of that play all the way down on the other side as there was delayed offsides, forced the Komets to not be able to play the puck, and Bonus kind of sprinted down the left side and looked to break out, and that got the whole thing started, and it resulted in what we have now.
Wow. Right off the face-off, just cruising in, and again, Roman Will had to be on the alert as that time Barnes went in uncontested. So just 28 seconds after the K's go on the power play, it's now 4-on-4 hockey with Pistilli going off 2 minutes for the trip, the first penalty of the game called against the Komets.
That shot may have caught the post, Kent. We'll have to look when we get a replay here.
A lot of open ice now, 4-on-4. Lacasse. Now it comes across to Faille. Leaves for Sidlowski. Sidlowski stick handles and moves it ahead. Martin started, but retreats back to his defensive position as Joel Schwinnard comes across to his defensive partner, Cody Lample. Well, a lot of neutral ice play. Schwinnard comes back, clears to center. Now Toledo looking to get something going. Tyler Barnes bumped off the play by Martin as both players head for the ice. Toledo trying to dig it out. Shot from the point. Oh, it just slides wide as that time. Kevin Clare, and on the rebound, Toledo gets it in front and scores.
That was the backhander as they sent it in front. It may have gone off the back of Roman Will. Luciani is going to get the goal. We'll have to look on the replay, but it went below the goal line, and Luciani sent it back in front, and I believe it went off of the back of Roman Will, either his pads or his actual back, as we take a look here.
Well, and again, the first shot was stopped as it slithered by. Yep, Luciani just tried to center it, and it caromed off of Will and wound up in the net. That's a tough goal. So Luciani with his 16th, and it comes at the 5:06 mark of period 2 to tie the game 1-1.
His 16th goal of the year. He continues to give the Komets problems in the meetings that they've had so far this year, and Komets have got to be able to shake that thing off, refocus here.
Well, it's interesting. There was discussion at the scorer's table about whether indeed that was a goal. Now they have confirmed it was, so Luciani saying, yeah, that was a goal, and it was my goal.
I'll have to take a look at it again. I know the net was bumped, but that, not really sure what the discussion would have been on that particular
play. I think maybe to
play.
make sure that the net did stay on its moorings, that the puck indeed trickle in. Now Luciani, who has been a thorn in the Komets' side, nets the goal. And they give Clare an assist. So we are all even at a goal apiece here in period number 2. We've played 5.5 minutes.
And the Walleye are now on the power play.
And Toledo on the power play, 25.9%, tops in the league. They cycle it into the zone as A.J. Jenks, recently acquired from the American League, it winds up in front. Komets still can't quite clear, but I believe they're going to have a hand pass, or nope, the goal came off its mooring once again. We noticed that in the first period. If there's been any problem with this outdoor rink, it seems that somehow, some way, the goalposts aren't securing the netting, and if a goalie goes down and slides with any kind of pressure into the pipe, it becomes dislodged.
Just 7 seconds remain on the power play for the Walleye, so the K's got to bear down, get this face-off in their own zone, get it cleared, and then we'll be back to even strength.
Well, waiting to drop the puck, and Jenks feeds it back to the point, so on the power play for what little's left, there's a one-timer that just whistles wide. Now Luciani feeds back to the point. Both teams are now at even strength. Luciani tries to fire it in front. That caroms off some players and winds up heading all the way back into the Toledo zone. Komets trying to put some pressure on. And now this goes the length of the rink, and that will be an icing. 13:44 to go here. Well, that's interesting. The clock is still running.
Clock is still running. You're right, Kent. They're going to have to check that. Everybody seems to be aware of it. Derek Lalone, the head coach for the Walleye, looking up, so they'll have to make that adjustment.
I would say at least a good 10 seconds ran off the clock after the whistle blew for icing.
You get the feeling right now, though, that the Komets back on their heels a little bit, need to get a shift where they can get the momentum headed back in the Walleye zone, get a couple of good shifts put together and get the momentum back.
Well, they've only had a couple of shots on goal this period. They've been outshot 7-2 here in the first 6 minutes and change, so yeah, the ice tilted the opposite way, so Derek Lalonde probably told his guys, hey, you have to pick it up. And again, I'll bet you the ice is a little cleaner this period with the snow having stopped, so that perhaps has helped the Walleye speed. But the Komets are a swift team as well, but the puck again goes into the Fort Wayne zone as they joust for it in the corner. Now a Walleye player goes down. Big drive from the point. That gets through, but it's kicked out of there. Now the K's look to break out. Feathered ahead to Mears as he's bumped off the plate. Tries to center in front, but out of the reach that time of Perlini. Now the K's dig it along the boards. C.J. Severin leaves for Mears. Now the Komets now trying to dial up that forecheck and put the pressure back on in the Toledo end. Try to center, but it slides through the goal mouth. Now Lampo looks for the breakout pass, and here come the Walleye back the other way. That's flipped ahead. Can Martin win the race? He does, as a Walleye player loses an edge. That was Luciani as he heads back to his bench. And again, the Komets looking to break it in. Great drop pass, a shot. Oh, it's caromed off a Walleye player, and that time sent heavily to the ice that time was Mears. And he kind of hobbles back toward the Komet bench. That was a big check by Chouinard. Now the Walleye look to center. That's flipped on at the point that time by Niedermal, and looks like it just slithered by the net. Toledo trying to put a ton of pressure on right at the side of the net. That was Schwab, and again it's the Walleye picking up the forecheck. That time they try to pinch the man off the play, and the Komets look to break it out.
A lot of traffic in front right now in the Komet zone put on by the Walleye. They got to be able to clear out that front area of the net. And Roman Will is having to fight through a lot of different traffic in front of him right now.
11:44 to go in period 2. This will be an icing on the Komets. We are tied at 1, and clearly the strategy of the Walleye was to really pick up the pace because they have outshot the Komets so far in this period 9-2. Luciani got the equalizer.
Well, and this is what Toledo can do to you. I mean, they can put up shots in a hurry, that speed, and I think that point that David Franke made during the first intermission was very valid. The conditions a lot different here in the second period than they were in the first, and I think it is definitely benefiting the Walleye.
Jenks gets tossed out of the face-off circle. Frazee, though, wins the draw. They pin it along the boards, and Martin sends it behind the net, where it'll be gathered by Lacasse. He whirls around, fires it all the way around. It's centered right in front. It goes on goal, and Will had to be ready to steer that aside as that was just sent right on the net by Bonus. Well, again, Toledo has really picked up the pressure as far as the forecheck in the Komet zone. Pistilli wheels around, tries to move it ahead. Too strong for Frazee. Now it's center and turning. Here come the Komets back the other way. Dumped in and on goal and slid aside that time by Conway. A lot of play between the blue lines right now. Goes back into the Komet zone where it is gathered that time by Drew Daniels. There's a long breakout pass for Faille. Faille dips into the corner. He's run off the play that time by Shane Sims, but the Komets continue to dig behind the net, and one of their best grinders is Embach. So Embach is doing battle here in the near corner. Walleye look to break it out, and leading the charge is Michael Leone. Racing in, the Walleye, Leone behind the net. Tries to center in front, whirling and firing that time, but coming up empty was Hirschfeld. Hirschfeld gives a chop that time to Sidlowski. Racing back in that time is Eric Faille, but again, the Walleye clogging everything up. There's a shot again. It just goes through a maze of players, hitting a lot of skates. Now the Komets again looking to break it out with numbers. Here comes Embach. Embach tries to slide it ahead that time for Daniels, busting in from the defense. Now he and Beaupré go for a change. And here comes Toledo back the other way. We're halfway through period 2, a 1-1 hockey game. Here come the Walleye again. Can the Komets win the race? That time it's Bartow. He's dragged down. And the K's clear to center, but it's collected by Toledo. Good forecheck that time by the Komets. Here they look to race in. Perlini scores!
Backhander by Perlini on the short side, Kent, off a turnover at the blue line. And suddenly the Komets go back in front.
Well, there was the great aggressive play and a tremendous forecheck by the Komets who never gave up. Perlini, who has really filled a role, beats him short side, glove side high with a nifty little backhander, top shelf.
That was pretty. That was pretty and exactly what the Komets needed. I was just getting ready to say that they had drifted into some of those bad habits that we've seen in the last 7 days against Quad City and Wheeling of not being willing to just get it in deep and kind of grind out some shifts in kind of an ugly style. If one thing has happened to the Komets when they've drifted into bad habits, it's been to try to get too pretty.
There's a shot that just slides wide of the net. Well, we'll see if the Komets can clear their zone before we get ahead of ourselves, and they're going to do just that. And what I wanted to say was that's a huge goal for the Komets, because for the first half of this period, Toledo was carrying the play, much as Fort Wayne did in the first period. They were out-shooting the Komets. They netted the equalizer, but the K's made the most of that 2-on-1 opportunity, and a very nifty shot that time by Perlini. There, Mears, who has been taking a lot of hits, just dumps it into the corner as they go for a line change. Pastilli has his pocket picked that time by Bonus. Now Jenks gliding along behind the net. A.J. Jenks, who just came down from the American League, his second game in a Toledo uniform. And now some extracurriculars, as there is a shot that was delivered at Martin, first by Bonus, and then Jenks, who's a pretty tough customer. He was in there to mix it up. Now Luciani, what's he doing? Well, we've got a timeout here at Fifth Third Field as they're exchanging Christmas cards and dinner reservations. The Komets lead 2-1. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Airing exclusively on My TV Fort Wayne.
The Parkview Sports Medicine provides performance and fitness training, advanced rehabilitation services, and nutrition consultations to sports enthusiasts at all levels. Learn more by calling Parkview Sports Medicine 260-266-4007, 260-266-4007. Kent Horman, Tommy Schegler, producers Jimmy Mitchell, Eric Dudkevich on board with us. Glad you could join us here for this broadcast of Komet Hockey, this historic broadcast. Komets on top 2-1. Right off the draw, a shot whistles by Roman Will and into the corner. Well, the teams are also picking up the physicality. Chouinard gloves it down at the point, tries to dump it into the corner. Centering attempt that time. It caroms off of Sidlowski, and the Komets again looking to clear. Cross-ice pass. Lample fires that shot wide. K's look to break out, but again, in neutral ice, Chouinard just dumps it back into the Komet zone, where Will leaves for Drew Daniels. Daniels, the top plus-minus man in the ECHL at plus 23, looks to break out. Great job of keeping his body between the defender and the puck, and he clears the center ice. Chouinard just tries to rifle it up the middle, but caroms off a couple of players. And that's dumped back in quickly with the backhand by Mercier. Cross-ice pass comes to Sidlowski. Sidlowski looks to feed it up the middle. That's a little too strong that time for Mbach, and back the other way. Here come the Walleye. Mercier leading the charge with speed. And that caroms out of play. Good look at Mercier. Well, right now the Perlini goal has been listed as unassisted. Perlini's third as a Komet and fifth overall. He started the season with the Indy Fuel.
Well, I really hate to go over some of the things that we've already talked about, Kent, but continually the Walleye are setting up camp right in front of Roman Will, and you have to think that if the Komets continue to allow that, that they're going to have a hard time keeping more goals out of the net. They've got to start clearing the front of that net right now when the Walleye are able to get it deep into the Komet zone.
Well, it's interesting with the Barnes, Schwab, Birschbach line. You have more of a checking line out there now. Perlini turns and fires. That gets into traffic. You have Perlini out there with Mears and also with C.J. Severin. And again, the Walleye trying to break in. Saul does a good job of taking his man off the play briefly, and that's too strong. And the Komets, that could be an interference call right there, is pinched off with Severin, and Severin hands out a little revenge that time to Niedermal. The Toledo fans didn't like that bit of extracurricular. Now it's kept in at the point. And again, Toledo just throwing shots on goal as the Komets were in the first period. Will steers that aside. Great job of being able to have good vision for the puck. And here's Christian Ouellette, the great forechecker. He's one-on-one. Ouellette, little toe drag. That shot whistles very high and actually caroms up into the netting, so we'll have a stoppage of play. It's been a very fast-paced second period, Tommy. 6:28 to go. 2-1 Komets. We'll take time out from Fifth Third Field. You're watching My Komets on My TV. Well, a full moon out tonight here over Fifth Third Field off the draw. Toledo tries to clear to center and does, and that's over the stick of Martin, and he better hustle because you had a pair of Walleye racing in on him. 6:16 to go in period 2. Tommy Schegler, Kent Horman, glad you could join us for this historic broadcast of Comet Road Hockey. First ever outdoor game for the K's. And speaking of games, the Comets' next home game, believe it or not until Friday, January 16th. Evansville comes to town. The return of former Comet coach Al Sims at the Coliseum. Took the Iceman job just a couple of days ago. 8 p.m. the start time at the Coliseum, Friday, January 16th.
This line right now of A.J. Jenks, Luciani, and Bonus has given the Comets all kinds of problems. Their combination of speed and physicality, Jenks is a great complement to the two somewhat undersized Bonus and Luciani, and their speed that they can go with Jenks. Man, that is a nice line that has given the Comets problems right now.
He is a physical guy. I remember him in the league last year playing with one of the Florida teams, and he was one of those type of guys who would give the Comets a little bit of fits. He is a talented player, tough, and he gets under your skin. Now the K's looking to break it back in. Embach able to slip the check. It comes in front, but hustling in that time to quickly make the play and get it out of there was Hirschfeld. Now Lampel, the big bearded defenseman, cruises in. Beaupré tries to ride him off the play. Lampel, a very popular player here in Toledo. Now the K's look to break out. Embach just tries to saucer it ahead. As we approach the 5-minute mark, Faille slips his check. Well, Eric Faille, what a talented rookie he is. One of the top rookies in the ECHL. Really, he and Tyler Barnes are just two special players in their first year pro. Daniels banks it off the boards, feeds behind. Comets look to clear, flip it ahead. Little jump up that time by Severin as he gloves it. Now he skates in, slot fires it. And again, it's blocked in front of the net, so Toledo doing a better job this period of clogging up traffic in front of Conway. Oh, there's a great blocker save that time off the quick little dicey shot by Schwab. Severin hustles into the corner, tries to poke it away from Schwab. Back behind the net, big Cody Saul, but the Comets can't clear. Now back at the point again, keeping it alive was Niedermal. They try to cycle it in front. That time right in front. Oh, what a great attempt that time by Barnes, but the Comets able to clear, but they can't get it out of the zone. Will is just hugging the goalpost, centered in front, and nobody home that time for the Walleye. K's look to break out. Sidlowski tries to work his way around Niedermal. Now he fires the bad angle shot. Good job that time by Conway to hold his ground and kick it out.
Not sure how the Walleye didn't score on that last rush. Many already had their hands in the air on that shot attempt on the centering feed.
Now back, a quick shot is snapped on that time by Lacasse. Just slides by the far post. Willette tries to center. Perlini, who has scored the lead goal for the K's in this period, he can't corral it. And now the race is on back in the Comet zone. Lacasse circles in front of his own net. Again, just serves it ahead that time. Pastilli comes cross ice. And it's collected by James Martin. Moves it ahead to Bartow. Bartow skates it up. And his pass is intercepted that time by the crafty A.J. Jenks. Bonus racing in. Jenks looks to center. And that'll wind up in the netting. And Tommy, you're right. You've got that first line of Barnes, Schwab, and Berschbach, but this Jenks, Bonus, Luciani line has given the Comets something to think about here, especially in period 2.
Well, Bonus is definitely just a speedy player that is willing to go into those areas and kind of sacrifice his undersized body, but he gets to the puck so quickly that he can keep the cycle going, keep the play alive, and it can result in some issues for the Comets. Not often do they play against a player that so clearly has a speed advantage against the Comets' already speedy lineups.
Jenks and Faille, and Jenks wins it briefly. Now Bonus tries to center. Again, Roman Will had to be ready for that. Now the K's look to break out. Sidlowski, does he ever take a heavy hit that time from who else but A.J. Jenks? Now Sidlowski looks to return the favor, tries to bump Jenks off the play. Puck in no man's land along the boards. The K's keep it in. Now it goes behind the net. And Sims trying to pull the Comet off the play and looking to break out now. Here come the Walleye, 2:48 to go. Jenks with a slithery little move, but it actually pulled a Walleye offside. Yeah, this guy's an impact player. There's no question about it. Now the shots now favor the Walleye 24-17. So they actually have outshot the Comets 13-4 in this period, but The Komets have the lead. Luciani got the equalizer at 5:06, but Perlini unassisted at 10:19. The Komets with that 2-1 lead. And there is a look at A.J. Jenks. Off the draw, fed back to Chouinard, who'll just rip it high into the Komet zone. Saul steps into his man. And trying to dig it out is Kyle Rogers, who also he also is a lethal goal scorer. Now Mears battles through traffic, takes the hit that time, as Lample delivered the body blow. Now coming out, here come the Walleye. That's the defenseman Lample, who's just going to rip it into the corner. Saul bumps his man, and Perlini tries to help dig it out, but he battles with Mercier, and the puck manages just to slide out to center ice. Cross ice it goes to Kevin Clare. Couple of Komets on him. He just tries to feed it ahead. Too strong that time for Mercier. And here come the Walleye breaking in. Rogers right in front. And again, Roman Will has really had to play some hockey here in this period. Komets break out 3-on-2. Saul trying to race down the middle. The shot, short side. That time Conway is able to block it. Now Saul races back to his defensive position. The Komets like to do that, whether it's a Saul from time to time, Drew Daniels, or Martin. The defensemen like to race into the play and fill the slot. Under a minute and a half to go here in period 2. It's been a great hockey game. That's through the skates that time of Christian Willette and collected back by Shane Sims. Now Sims takes the return pass. Tries to fire cross ice. That went briefly off the stick that time of Frazee. Frazee steps into his man. So again, Toledo trying to get the puck out of their own end. Sims feeds it right along. That pass a little too strong for Tyler Barnes as Schwab was trying to get him at the top of the circle. Under a minute to go now. There's a one-timer. Again, Will with a great save, and he kicks it up into the netting.
Roman Will looking more and more comfortable as this game goes on. He has seen 27 shots, been there for 26 of them. He's made some big saves as we take a look at the latest offering that he had to deal with. That a big pad save to get it up into the netting, but some great saves so far in this game by the young netminder for the Komets.
Well, there is Tyler Barnes, the outstanding rookie, plus 21. Went through a stretch of 13 games when he scored 10 goals and had 12 assists. So right off the face-off again, and that was blocked away by the Komets. It's very important to hold your ground in that final minute of a period, and the K's trying to do just that. That's kicked behind the net, and again, Barnes tries to dig it out. Fed to the neutral zone, but Chouinard dumps it back in, delayed offside as Toledo had to clear the zone. Now Beaupré takes a look, fires the long pass up the middle. Kays will just dump it deeply into the zone, but they can't get it all the way in there. Now it goes into the corner with 20 seconds to go, where it's gathered by Chouinard as he tries to feed the center, and here come the Walleye as it's Schwab. Right across the goal mouth as Birschbach tried to feed it, and right in front, there's going to be a delayed penalty on the Komets. As racing to the bench that time was Neil Conway, so with 3 seconds to go, the Komets are going to be sent to the sin bin, and Toledo will start the third period with a power play.
That's a tough penalty for the Komets to take so late in the period. A good job by Roman Will to get a nice little poke check with the stick to get that centering feed out of a dangerous area as we take a look at the replay. But you can see,
wow,
man, that was
thin.
that was thin.
They called hooking.
They called hooking. That was thin.
Now this is one of those important moments to win the faceoff. The Komets need to win the faceoff so that Toledo can't draw it back for a shot with a couple seconds to go. Good job on the tie-up that time by Frazee. And that'll do it for period 2. And a good period it was indeed. But I'll tell you what, the Walleye turned up the speed a little bit as they outshot the Komets that period. 16-5, each team with a goal, so the K's have a 2-1 lead after 2 periods. We'll take a break and come back for our second intermission. We'll recap what's gone on so far and talk about everything else that's going on with the Komets as we look ahead to period 3. 2-1 Komets after 2 periods. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
Let's go Komets! Real people.
I felt
Welcome back here to Fifth Third Field. Tommy Schegler, Ken Horman with you, Parkview Sports Medicine, bringing you another fantastic road game of Comet hockey. This one a historic one, and with 20 to go, Comets up 2-1 on the Walleye. Big power play coming up for the Walleye to start the third period, though, Kent.
Very important for the Comets to choke off this penalty, and I've said it before, as my good old coach in junior hockey, the legendary Eddie Long, said. He would always say in a close game before we came out for the final period, 20 minutes to Broadway, boys.
There we go. Great way to start out the third period. Also a great way to start out is by winning the opening face-off. Caves are able get it back down into the Toledo zone. And now they look to jump in. Barnes gives chase as well as Schwab. Two of them play it behind the net here, taken away, and then cleared by the Comets, and almost a chance. Eric Faille winds and fires a drive in that goes wide of the net. Berschbach going to get it over to a teammate. That's Schwannard. Schwannard goes all the way behind the cage and then loses the handle on it as Faille steps in. Kay's trying to dig at it and get another clear.
Ambach is such a grinder.
And here come the Comets as and almost too many men on the ice there.
They may have him, Tommy.
Definitely a whistle. They're talking about it. Comets are heading to the box for too many men on the ice, I believe. They got the door open. There's talk about it. Why else would there have been a whistle?
Now, Gary Graham is livid, and you can see he is unloading on Andy Thackerberry, but I think you hit it right on the nose. I think the Comets are going to get a too many men on the ice penalty. And we were talking about this on the drive to Toledo today. You know, that hurt the Comets Friday night against Wheeling when they had too many men in the ice penalty called. Now, let's see if nobody's gone to the bench just yet, but here comes somebody.
Yep, Eric Faille.
Yep. Oh, this could be critical because now it'll be a 5-on-3.
5-on-3 play here. Justin Mercier going to be out there with bonus. And stepping in for the face-off is Hirschfeld. Comets are able to get the clear. 57 seconds is how long the Comets will be 2 men down. So 5-on-3 for the Walleye. This a huge moment in this game. Sims passes it over, half wall, looking over things. Fakes the shot, now walks in, they get it down deep. Bonus tries to go high on the short side, goes off the shoulder of Will. Walleye keep it in. Sent it in. Steered into the corner by Roman Will. Nice body check, and the K's are going to be able to clear this thing. Don't get cute with it, get it down there.
Well, that was a huge moment. 2-3 big saves by Roman Will. Also important about choking off this penalty, Tom, in this first 5-6 minutes or so is when the ice is going to be at its best.
Good point. Very good point. Beaupré getting ready to come out of the box and is doing so right now. So now just a 5-on-4 for the K's. They get through the 5-on-3, but still another 50 seconds remain on the power play for the Walleye. Mercier sends it in front. One-timer by Hirschfeld that goes off the side of the netting. And they set back up. This is Hirschfeld. Back up to the point. Sending it in, and a nice save way up over the netting and out of play goes the puck. That one landed in right field. Base hit, but not a goal.
Now just 32 seconds left in the power play. And I'll tell you what, I mean, not only is it important from the scoreboard perspective, if the Comets can completely choke off what started to be a 2-man advantage, but this power play in the opening 2.5 minutes or so, it'll be a tremendous mental advantage. Just huge for the Comets' psyche.
Barnes out there with A.J. Jenks along with Berschbach. So an interesting line out there right now for Lalonde. His big team down a goal.
Big face-off won by Jenks.
Schwannard sends it over. This is Barnes. Check that, Schwab. This is Birschbach sending it up, now sending it in. It's loose in front. K's come away with it. Backhander up the boards, gets out and cleared. 8 seconds left on the power play. And the power play officially over. Komets back at full strength. That one ricochets way up high, comes down around the goal line, loose in front. Perlini is there, and the Komets are able to clear and officially have kind of stemmed the tide of that power play. A big moment in this hockey game, no doubt, Kent.
Oh, huge first step. Not only to start out with the first power play, but then a two-man disadvantage. Still a lot of hockey left, but again, I talk about the opening 5 minutes or so of this final period huge, especially since the ice conditions will deteriorate and slow Toledo down the deeper we get into it.
Shot from the point, blocked. Toledo gets it to the slot, back up to the point. Shot sent in. Not sure it ever quite made it through, but continuing to have it in the Komet zone are the Walleye.
The K's are having a very difficult time clearing the zone right now. That oftentimes leads to trouble.
Daniels tries to clear, and one of his mates does just that, and then running it down and shooting, and big save by Conway, denying C.J. Severin. He had it on the breakaway on the beautiful pass, and now another turnover at neutral. C.J. whining, firing, and that one goes high and wide. And puck is deflected and up out of play, but a couple of great opportunities for C.J. Severin.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. There's one of the guys you really want to see take advantage and get untracked. A bouncing biscuit. Severin comes in. Now he's got the great move. Tried to go 5-hole, and a good job by Conway to keep the stick down. So that was a massive save. So this could be a big moment now for Toledo. Could you imagine if the Komets would have come right out of that two-man disadvantage and scored a goal to go up by 2?
May have been the backbreaker. Beaupré sends it in. Eric Faille stalking the defenseman for the Walleye, but they're able to clear it out. This is Luciani. Doesn't have numbers. He sends one in that goes off of the blade of Beaupré and out of play.
I tell you what, we get those ice level shots. This is just phenomenal. This is great
It's
stuff.
a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It really is.
Really, I have mentioned throughout the broadcast, feel honored to be a part of this, and you see the attendance there, just over 11,000.
Well, those are tickets sold. There's no question about that, because a lot of the fans who were here last night, a lot didn't show up because of the rain. And then some, I mean, we have to be honest, some did not return today. I know there's probably a goodly amount of Fort Wayne fans who made the trip last night who either didn't have a hotel room, went back to Fort Wayne, and maybe could not get back today. But 11,000 and change will be the announced attendance because those are tickets sold.
I would say actual people in the seats, we're looking at somewhere around 4.
I'd say you're correct. But this is a beautiful facility, by the way.
Beautiful facility, great setting, and, worth the wait. I think you mentioned during one of the intermissions, and I think that was well said. Worth the wait to come back tonight and see it done in conditions that absolutely just awesome to watch a hockey game in. So here are the Komets. This is Christian Willett. Oh, and he gets hit up high by, I believe that was Lample.
Yep. He plays the body a lot, but Willett is relentless.
Here's Jenks trying to center. Glove down by Luciani. Sends it in, and now into the corner. Coming up high is Bonus. He backhands it down off the boards to Jenks. Quick shot in, and a pad save by Will, and then a whistle.
Yeah, we're going to get Chouinard.
And you are correct, sir, as he heads over towards the box. Chouinard will get a high sticking call on him. He is sent into the box, so now a big moment for the Komets as they will go on the power play. Looking for that all-important 2-goal lead as we remain at 2-1 here in the third period. Draw one right off the hop and cleared by the Walleye. James Martin retreats back to behind his net, has the puck taken away. Mercier being a pest for James Martin. They finally are able to take care of that and attempt to come up and get it into the zone. They get it in deep this time. Cutting it off on the wall is Mbach. Mbach looks to center. It's deflected back to him. Now they get it up to the point. Right point sent down into the corner. Faille has it jump over his stick. Mbach trying to get it back in deep and does so. Trying to grind it out of the K's. Winding and firing from the point. Rebound in front, and the net came off the mooring. Yep. And some frustration showed by the Komets as they had a loose puck in front. Christian Willett was there and was unable to cash it home.
Well, that's been one of the consistent occurrences we've seen throughout this game. If a goalie goes down, especially drops to the pads and just kind of rubs the post at either end, it has been very liberal at coming off. And I'll tell you what, a crafty goalie, both of these guys, both Conway and Will, know you just kind of breathe in that direction. If there's some pressure on, you can get the net moving, and that'll create a whistle.
Walleye are able to clear off of the draw, but Komets retain possession. Sending it in deep with a big shot is Matt Bastilli, but quickly the Walleye sent it back in the other direction. A little over halfway through this penalty, a high sticking call on Chouinard for Toledo. C.J. Severin, who's had a good period so far, tries to bring it in.
K's went offside.
Yep, delayed offside, so they have to retreat back. And Sevy will try to do it all over again. This time he sends it reverse corner. And Toledo able to center it in front and clear it quickly thereafter. Roman Will taken off the play behind the net by Bonus. His speed just absolutely jumps off the page at you when you're watching it in person. Komets nobody home on the pass through neutral.
That'll do it for the power play.
And that will do it for the power play. Back to even strength. Not much on the power play that time for the Komets, as gloved by Conway, the offering from Soul from mid-ice. Approaching the 12-minute mark. Berschbach trying to track it down. Ian Bartow there to meet him in the corner. Now the two joust again. Barnes is there as well. Komets come away with it. Here is Mbach down the left side. Winding, firing, and that one goes high and wide. And they're playing it as Will Lacoste fresh off the bench. And we get a whistle.
No icing. Lacoste was trying to find somebody on the high side near the blue line cross ice, and it was just a little too strong, so winds up being an icing. There you see Konstantin Shafronov with the toque working, as they now take a look at Neil Conway, the Toledo goaltender. Shafronov scored a goal in the Legends game yesterday.
He's been a busy guy.
Yeah.
All right, important draw here in the Komets' end. They win it. Get it back quickly to the defenseman and look to break out. Do so into neutral. Here is Mbach with speed. Another shot. That one is deflected nicely by Niedermal and still in the corner. Hirschfeld is able to come. No one stopping the puck, or the man with the puck, as they come into the K zone and now battle for it behind the net. Komets are able to come away. High lob pass out to center. Zidlowski, who's been somewhat quiet tonight, fighting for it there. Hirschfeld now sends one in. That one gets deflected, never makes it through, but now loose in front. Komets come away with it. And here is Muirs making some moves, taking off the play nicely after he tried to set it in deep. That check was finished.
Well, Cody Lample loves to play the body. He of the big beard, and the fans here love him, but I think Garrett Muirs is one of those guys who plays the contact, and he likes it as well.
So back and forth, kind of almost feels like early moments of the game right now, as kind of just some jousting back and forth. Nothing really developing on either side over the last couple of minutes.
And this is one of those times, Tommy, you don't want to kind of get lulled to sleep a little bit. You know, kind of one of those rope-a-dope type of things where a puck winds up near the side of the goal mouth. Next thing you know, it's in. So K's have to be aware, especially with traffic in front.
Chouinard loses the handle, had something going on the point, instead sends it in deep. Now Cody Soul getting it out of his zone. The defenseman lumbers in, lobs it into the corner. Komets will go for the change. Approaching the 10-minute mark here in Fifth Third Field. Komets holding on to a 2-1 lead.
Ooh, they waved it off on the hybrid icing.
Yep, beaten it was Berschbeck. There's that speed again. Tipped in and quickly back out by the K's. Here's Walleye getting it in deep. Pastilli fighting for it in the corner. It's trying to grind it out, sending one in from the point, loose in front, and steering it off into the corner are the Walleye. And now they get something going. Schwab bringing it over the blue line. Tried to center, deflected back to the Komets, and that's Drew Daniels. Daniels now plays it up the wall to Willett, and he will walk it into the neutral zone. No numbers, he just chips it in. Conway is there and covers. And we will have a stoppage in play. 2-1, just over 9 minutes to go. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
My TV Fort Wayne.
Comet fans, if you're sitting at home watching this game on My TV, you might be thinking to yourself, man, it would be fun to watch this game with some Komet fans together in one location. Well, that spot is the Tilted Kilt at Jefferson Point, the official watch zone of all of the Komet broadcasts here on My TV Fort Wayne. Be sure to go there. You could potentially win a couple tickets for a Komets home game, get discounts for game days. The official watch zone of Komet games here on My TV, that's the Tilted Kilt in Jefferson Point. Back to live action here at Fifth Third Field. Tommy Schegler, Ken Horman. Komets up 2-1, and we are now under 9 minutes. K's trying to get that extra goal, make things a little bit more comfortable with a 2-goal lead if they can net another one here against Neil Conway. That one loose in front, still loose in front, and the Walleye able to poke it away and come away with it. Clearing and coming the other way is Rogers. Rogers waiting for some help, now drops it off to Hirschfeld, who sends it in to Will Roman, or Roman Will, I should say, and he steers it off into the corner, up out of play.
Well, Roman Will's done a great job of protecting the pipe as guys try to go short side on him. He's hugging the post, and that time he was down low, saw that quick, crafty shot coming at him, and just used the big stick and steered it right up into the netting. And again, so important for the Komets to win face-offs, make sure they have strong breakout passes as this clock winds down to just under 8.5 minutes to play in regulation. You don't want to give up any cheapies at this point, Tommy, and again, you go back to that Severin breakaway, but it was a good move by CJ, just a great save by Conway holding his ground.
And that one won by the Walleye. Sims sends it around. They get it behind the cage. Now they begin the cycle game. This is A.J. Jenks. He slips a check, or at least it looked like it, but now he's grabbing his nose.
Yeah, he got hit in the snoot.
He is a little wobbly behind the play right now. K's have something going on the other end, though. Severin sends it in. Rebound in front, and another shot sent in by Sevy. Doesn't quite get through. He's on the half wall now, sends it up to the point. Another shot sent in. Rebound in front. And it's still loose in front. The Walleye finally are able to get it out of there.
Now the Komets basically had a mini power play, Tommy, with Jenks way behind the play, checking out his nose.
Yeah, he was very wobbly getting back to the bench. All right, here is Garrett Mears. Sends it over to Cody Soul. Soul has his clearing attempt denied. Schwab now drifts and sending one in, a big shot that goes wide of the cage. That was Niedemall, the big defenseman. K's 2-on-2, need a change. They chip it in, and giving chase is Christian Willett. Willett ends up with it now in the corner. Niedemall working on Willett.
See, there's nothing wrong with keeping the puck alive in the corner. You're just taking time off the clock, Tommy.
Yeah, that is very important for the Komets right now. Very good point. All right, now the Walleye do finally break out.
That looked offside.
And here is Barnes, who's taken off the play. And another big hit behind the play by the Walleye. Pastilli trying to run it down. Berschbach, though, gets there first. They reverse things. and are able to lob it up and out to center.
Well, this will be, again, the old keep your head up here in the last 6 minutes, because Toledo will be finishing checks, and they will be stepping into the Komets, so the K's have to be ready for it and return the favor.
All right, here is Eric Faille behind the goal, working with Mbach, who has the puck right now. Zidlowski fakes the shot, gets it up. Drew Daniels sends one in that goes wide. And the Walleye able to clear after that flurry by the Komets. Hirschfeld waiting for everybody to get on side, then sends it in. Cross ice corner.
K's just have to think, clear the zone, clear the zone. Don't get bottled up in your own end. They'll play as much neutral ice hockey as is necessary, but you want to keep the puck deep.
Yeah, you would think could just continue to get it to the next level. Just continue to work it down the puck, or down the ice, I should say. Jenks, and now a short-sided peek, and getting a stick up in his face.
Going to be a power play.
That is going to be a power play. I'm still trying to get the number. I can't tell whether it was Luciani. It's not Luciani.
Now, the important thing is this is just 2 and not 4.
Yep. And it ends up being Leone.
Yeah, Faille got him.
Yep, he's the 10th forward and hasn't seen a lot of ice time. So he gets a stick up in the face, and so it will be a power play. And we have a timeout on the ice. We'll take it quickly with them. You're watching My Komets on My TV.
My Komets on My TV.
Back to live action, power play underway for the Walleye. This is Chouinard as he gives off, and bringing it with speed through center is A.J. Jenks. K's trying to gain possession. Lample sends one in, rebound in front, and the K's are able to clear. Very, very key moment in this game. 2-1, under 5 minutes to go. Komets hanging on to a 1-goal lead, but still 1 minute and 15 seconds remains on the potent power play for the Walleye. Schwab. Chouinard sends it in, and that one got through Will, but then squirts just left of the post. Ooh, dodging a bullet there, Kehoe.
Well, for a moment I thought that was going to squirt right between the wickets, but it just caromed, although behind Will, into the corner.
Dodging a bullet. Still just under 1 minute to go. Only a little over halfway through this power play for the Walleye. Another clear for the Komets. You get the feeling that the balance of the game really
right here
out there. Hirschfeld taken off the play by Soul. Back up to the point. Shot in on Will. Now over to the circle. Another point-blank shot, and Roman Will stands tall and then bellies it down. Big save by the Komets netminder.
Well, that is where Anthony Luciani, who has the lone goal for the Walleye, loves to set up shop. Just below the top of the circle on the opposite side, they will feed him there, and he just loves to tee it up. He had an open lane. Roman Will, though, right there to take it off the chest. That's one of those plays that's often used by a team you're familiar with.
That looked a lot like Alex Ovechkin. Bonus now, as we're approaching 10 seconds left in the power play.
Huge to clear it one last time, Tommy.
Hirschfeld looks it over. Now to Bonus. Bonus sends one in. Good screen in front by Mercier. Not sure that Will ever saw that one. And one last clear is all the Komets need, as they are now back to full strength. Behind everybody right now is a Walleye. Tries to wrap around and poking it away nicely were the Komets.
Still don't clear the zone. This
Bonus,
is trouble.
though, walking in, and a one-timer score!
The inability to clear the zone. Wow.
And who is it, of course, but Anthony Luciani once again. Bonus with the turnover interception. Beautiful feed. And Luciani sends it home.
Great pass that time by Bonus, but a tough turnover in the zone by the Komets. Coming at the 17:04 mark.
And we are all knotted up at 2. Rough situation there for the Komets, but we've talked about it since the opening moments of this broadcast. The potent power play for the Walleye. While that one won't go down as a power play goal, it was on the back end of one as Tyler Barnes sends one through the middle. And you just can't take a bunch of penalties against this team. They send you back on your heels, and you start playing a defensive game.
Well, now they have to make sure they realize there's still 2.5 minutes to go.
Barnes had that one deflected off of Will Lacasa's stick and up into the netting because he had a nice little look going.
Well, no matter what happens the rest of the way, Tommy, Gary Graham will not be happy because Toledo has 40 shots on goal. They have outshot the Komets 40-28.
You have to applaud the play of Roman Will. There's no doubt about that. He has played a fantastic game here tonight. Big draw there, won by the Komets, and here they come the other way. Let's see if we can get an answer. They did so in the second period quickly after the Walleye were able to score, and we approach the 2-minute mark in the third. Will we need extra time, or will everyone get to go home on time? And that one bounced off the back boards, and Conway had no idea that it was squirting out behind him. If he had one wrong move with a blade, he could have knocked that one in.
Yeah, it came right through the goal mouth. 100 seconds to go in regulation.
Here's Jenks, and he is taken off the play. And I believe we got an offsides.
Well, A.J. Jenks, second game in a Walleye uniform after a stint in the American League. He has been a factor.
No doubt about that. That whole line has been a huge factor, scoring the 2 goals so far.
Again, the trouble with clearing the zone.
Hirschfeld still there. And that one sent in. Never quite got to Roman Will, but Lample now sends one in. Blocker save, pad save by Will as he stood out and cut off the angle. Faille puts on the brakes, then sends it in deep. Cutting off the corner are the K's, but Walleye are still able to get it out of there. Now they have a 3-on-2 developing. That one sent in, rebound in front, and the Komets are able to turn it and clear it. Right back in, however. Under a minute to go. Are we going to end up with overtime? These fans had to wait an extra 24 hours for this game, so why not give them a little extra hockey? That's the way it's looking at this point. 30 seconds to go. Can the K's get one last rush here? Win a battle on the boards. That's what Mears does. Sends a knuckler that goes high off the glass but stays in play. Now C.J. Severin, the veteran, fighting for it. He wins that battle. Perlini whips around, and Conway a nice pad save, and another shot sent in by Cody Soule. Another pinch down, and that one will go out of play.
Well, that's a good sequence by the Komets, Tommy, because, you know, sometimes you can get lulled to sleep a little bit when you think like, well, we're heading for overtime. Again, go back to the Winter Classic when I think people thought that was going to happen, and the Capitals scored the winning goal with under 13 seconds to go, so the Komets had a good 20-plus seconds of control, and actually where they were peppering Conway with some shots here in the final seconds. Now, unless the Komets win a draw and there's a one-timer, we likely are heading to overtime.
Here is that draw coming up, and it goes off into the corner, and you are right, Kent, we are headed for overtime. Tied at 2.
Had a good chance of just getting it out of the zone into the neutral area. But you have to give where credit where due as well. Kyle Bonus did a good job of pinning the puck along the boards, keeping it in. He broke in, fed the pass over to Luciani, who was in his favorite spot again, that big one-timer. And he whistled that past Roman Will, so he has both goals in the game, his 16th and 17th of the season. And we will have bonus hockey, and there you see a big number there. Toledo outshot the Komets 15-12 in the third period, and they have outshot the K's for the game 42-30. 42
shots, an awful lot of shots to give up.
Gary Graham will not be happy with that at all. But again, even after the first period, which, we felt the Komets dominated, Toledo has really picked up the pace of play, and Roman Will has had a fantastic game. Really not much he could do about either of the goals.
Okay, so 4-on-4 for 5 minutes, and then we will head to a shootout if nothing happens in this 5-minute overtime session. Berschbach wants to end this thing quickly, working in the high slot. They get it out to the point. Walking in, big rebound in front after a nice save by Will, and now the Komets come the other way. Pastilli, like to see something from him. Waits, Frazee now in the corner. Here is Pastilli, had the great start to the year, been kind of quiet as of late. And he is taken to the ground. Shot sent in, and Conway will glove it.
Well, it just is what it is, as they say. I think maybe at another point in the game that possibly could have been called a hook, but the referee, Andy Thackerberry, who I think has called a good game both ways, and you have so much open ice with 4-on-4 in overtime, and you kind of want to let the players decide it one way or another.
Especially in this setting. I mean, as much as you like to say that it's just another regular season game, it's not. It's there's a different thing here. All right, so here are the K's, and the Walleye are able to take it away, but intercepting that pass at neutral is Zidlowski, and the Komets will try to set up shop. Severin retreats momentarily, gets the outlet to Beaupré, and Beaupré sends it into the corner.
It'll be fitting if Severin could net an overtime winner, because he had that breakaway after the Komets choked off a two-man Toledo advantage on a power play.
There's a nice interception by Drew Daniels. Daniels has a look and never gets a shot off into the corner. Keeping it in is Severin. He'll send it down into the corner. Here's Zidlowski. Zid up to Sevy. He wheels around, sends one in on Conway, and we got another whistle.
Well, Neil Conway's had himself a pretty good game as well, and we talked about it at the top of the broadcast. The guy who's done most of the heavy lifting for the Walleye has been Jeff Lerg, as Gary Graham, with his Comet toque, surveys the landscape. But when you put Conway in, there's no drop-off.
All right, here is Bonus. He has been a thorn in the side. Centering feed, and a huge save by Will.
Tell you what, Troy Schwab was getting ready to hoist the stick. He thought that was the winner.
Man, that was a big save, because that was a great feed by Bonus. 2:40 left to go in overtime. Schwab and Bonus working together once again. They lose the puck as they head over the blue line, and here's Mears. Mears slowly comes up the line, out the right side, and he pays for it dearly.
Now, these Toledo defensemen, you have your head down a little bit, they're going to step into you.
Here come the Walleye into the K zone. Still loose in front and squirted all the way, trickling to Will, and he is able to cover up. Niedermal was working in front, couldn't get any stick on it. And here is that centering feed to Schwab that you were mentioning.
Right there for the one-timer, and boy, Roman Will,
he got every bit of that. He was ready. Ooh, quick shot off of the draw. Nice save again.
That's save number 43 for Roman Will.
Here's Mercier. Mercier walking in front, backhander, and no on the goal attempt. And still working deep in the zone. Niedermal sending it in. Now behind the cage. K's have got to clear. Too much time over in the Walleye zone. Not able to clear once again. Perlini backhands it to Mbach. They still can't clear it.
Nope.
And now coming in, this is Sims. Sims loses a handle on it. And here come the K's back the other way. 2-on-2. Mbach works into the slot. Now sends one in. Conway fights it off. Nice move by Mike Mbach there. Approaching the 1 minute mark in overtime. Knotted up at 2. Back behind the net goes Barnes, sending it in. Is Chouinard.
Another great save.
Oh, another great save, but he had some traffic in front. Had some trouble. Nobody was there to bang in the rebound. Birschbach plays it. Frazee, couple nice swipes at him. Not going to get that call right now.
Nope.
Bastilli behind the net. Kay's just not winning many battles right now. And here is Bastilli running it down in the corner. Chouinard comes away with it. And here's Barnes. Barnes trying to work around a defender. Unable to do so. Ian Barteau, good job there one-on-one.
He's had a strong game.
I agree.
Here you go.
Bouncing puck. And unable to win the race there were the K's. Walleye come back. Under 10 to go. Luciani, and that one is cleared and likely will result in the end of overtime. We will go to a shootout. Okay. Well, kind of fitting that it would result in this. Two very evenly matched teams. Beautiful setting. Why not stay out here as long as we possibly can and go to a shootout?
Well, as Ernie Banks used to say in the old baseball vernacular, let's play two.
Komets will shoot first. And it will be Sean Zidlowski battling against Neil Conway, who also has had a fantastic game.
Well, he's been one of the more proficient shootout shooters for the K's.
Zidlowski coming wide, now back in front. Couple quick moves.
Never got the shot off.
Yeah, never got a really good shot off.
It's so important to get off to that good start, and that has to be frustrating for Sid because not even to get a shot off.
One too many moves. Shane Birschbach will counter for Derek Lalonde's team. Roman Will quickly comes out of the crease. Coming in with speed is Birschbach.
Big save.
And a big save by Roman Will. All right, so now the Komets will have a chance to go in front.
Faille.
Stepping out is Eric Faille. Faille grabs the puck. Quickly goes right down the middle of the ice, and a big save by Conway. Tried to go 5-hole and couldn't squeeze it in there. Komets 0 for 2.
Schwab.
Troy Schwab, the centerman on the top line for the Walleye, goes far left and now comes back. Forehand and a big save by Will. It's there for the taking, Cahill.
Yeah, it sure is. And, you know, the Komets have been so proficient in shootouts so far. They lost their first one Friday night. Here's Perlini.
Perlini will be next up for Gary Graham. Perlini quickly goes wide, brings it back to the forehand, shoots, and he scores!
I think that caromed off of Conway and then just dribbled over his arm and in.
I believe you're right. It definitely looked like he got a piece of it initially, and then it was able to trickle in.
Well, the team that scores the first goal in the shootout, it is so huge. Now here's Jenks, who just recently rejoined this team.
Yep, and this is a guy that has been a problem for the Komets all night long. Has had a very good game. And the big guy grabs the puck. Will way out this time, and he scores.
Tell you what, he didn't look like he had a lot of confidence going in. Just did a little dangling and just decided to snap the low shot that beat him low to the glove side.
All right, this will be Bastilli. We enter the fourth round tied at 1. Bastilli. on his way and scores.
Great shot.
Big
Boy, I heard
shot.
some pipe too, so that must have gotten just under the elbow. Huge goal.
Really an undefensible shot there by Pistol. All right, so the Komets, big opportunity.
Bonus.
Another guy that has been an issue and has had a great game. The speedy winger heads in. Roman Will is there and is able to come away with the save.
Komets can win it right here.
All right, a goal. And the Komets get the win in their first ever outdoor game. Who will be the shooter for Gary Graham? Stepping over the boards and approaching the puck right now is Mike Embach. All right, here's Emmer coming in and a save by Conway. So now it rests on the shoulders of Roman Will. A save here, and the Komets have the win.
Well, I hope Will comes out and plays the angle like he did the last time. Who else but Luciani?
Luciani will be the shooter for Derek Lalonde. Here is Luciani. Approaching. And makes one too many moves.
And the K's win.
And the Komets have won the first ever outdoor game in franchise history in shootout fashion by a final score of 3-2. And in the words of the great and now late Stuart Scott, booyah!
Now, what a celebration for the Komets. The extra point is just huge for Fort Wayne. They now have 50. Toledo has 48, and the Komets realize they can be beaten. And Tommy, I was thinking about this. I love this. A la the Winter Classic, great hockey game, as is an outdoor tradition. The teams come to center ice and shake hands for a job well done. To me, this is the greatest tradition in sport after the playoffs, after a grueling 7-game series. But they've done it a tradition for the Winter Classic as well, and now for this Winterfest, you shake hands. There you see a very disappointed Anthony Luciani. That's going to make that bus ride to Fort Wayne a whole lot shorter for the Komets, but this is a great moment of this entire Winterfest, and there you see the final. The Komets win it in a shootout, 3-2.
We're going to take our last break of the broadcast, talk about this some more when we come back. Komets win it 3-2. You're watching My Komets on My TV.